like to share a revelation I had. Human beings are a disease. Oh no, wait. That's Agent Smith from The Matrix. I didn't have that revelation. I had a different revelation while I was working out a bunch of other revelations. Still. What was my revelation? One must be something like, and I'm sorry if this is wisdomity, something like in the Enjoinus day, which is therefore the way, in its original non-formed state, which also means easy way, because it's not hindered, because it's not obscurated. And I know I'm supposed to go right diagonally, but forgetting. Staying with the road, not to be square or obtusely diagonal. But anyway, as long as no one's coming up that thing, it's not too bad. And I'm driving real slow so I don't throw those off the cops. Maybe. What was I babbling about? Enjoinus, in its original state, awareness, non-discriminating or non-efforted awareness, meaning non-hindered awareness, meaning also easiness, meaning the day and the E, this, that, and the other thing. My latest guess, which floppers around. But if someone's in the best virtue, whatever that being may, whether it's enjoyness or easiness or E or whatever, or the Buddha way or faith in God or the Tao or whatever it be, I don't know. But if someone's in that state, they can have enough awareness to have enough intuition to see through the dumbness that be from everyone. In this case, mechanical stuff. Various little facts. Even though I'm not a mechanic, I have fixed this very car, like, what did I say in one of my videos, 25 times for 1/10 each for 2.5 cents total. That was true, and I fixed it many times since then. And I did fix my Crown Vic. The point is, I have done some repairs, even though I'm not a mechanic. 50-50 repairs on the Crown Vic, this, that, and the other. And I did it even though I'm an idiot, because I have a certain... When I'm not a complete moron, I have a certain degree of common sense that has enough creativity to overcome this, that, and the other. And so what I realize is if you're in a good enough state of mind, you can have enough intuition to, I don't know, see who's screwing up on all the YouTube videos and see what the missing information, the most incredible, pertinent, like, major information that people leave out on their videos or their instructions, that they ramble on about unimportant things, and you can have the intuition to see past that. And on these 5 things, which are never mentioned, almost ever never mentioned, as if they're a small detail, I will put out a mechanics quiz. I will leave you with 5 questions. That's the name of this video, now that I've been rambling and bragging about how smart I'm imagining that I am and all that stuff. I know that makes me look stupid, by the way. I know exactly what makes people look stupid, and I do it anyway. I say, I think I'm really smart, just letting you all know. I know exactly what that makes me look like. If I wanted to look smart, I could do it. I know the psychology. But I don't give a crap. I'm so smart. I don't even need to brag about it. Where was I? I will leave out this, and whatever I was rambling about, I will leave out this video. I will call it the mechanics quiz. I can't really call it the DIYers quiz, because this is a quiz that goes to mechanics who know what they're doing and DIYers and all that. Well, I'll call it a mechanics quiz. And it will be 5 questions, which a 5th grader could understand the answer to, and anyone could learn it instantly if it wasn't so hidden. Strangely. Some of them are life and death. One of them I have even a story where someone could make a mistake and accidentally end up causing World War III and having like 5 billion people get killed. That was my little, I don't know, a flamboyant version of it. Maybe I won't throw that in there. All it really is blow up themselves in the car. Maybe a few people in their vicinity. That's all. And of course, it's only a possibility, even at that. I'm babbling. Mechanics quiz, 5 questions. Question number 1. Now I will go on with the voice. As I admitted, I'm an idiot who thinks he's smart. So now I will go on with my conceited professor voice. I've never done it before, so forgive me. Now, question number 1. I think I'll do that at certain times. Let's see, what were the 5 things? They've all popped into my mind and stuff. A man's battery has been in like 0-degree weather. It was fully charged and everything was working fine. He lived at his house for 5-10 hours, whatever. The temperatures are below 0 degrees. It's freezing. You all have run into the point where cars are suddenly hard to start when it's really cold out and all that stuff. So he can't seem to start it. He tries to jump start it. He can't start it. He's like, this is so freaking weird, man. There's almost no power. I can barely beep the horn. The headlights have almost no power. I don't know what to do, but like trying to charge it with the jump start doesn't work, and it's freezing out. And I think I will wait until the next day when it's warmer. I can get some jumper cables or whatever, and go buy some jumper cables. Jump on a bus, buy some jumper cables, whatever. Because no one wants to jump me in this charming weather. So he goes to sleep, this, that, and the other. Waits till like midday the next day, and he goes out there, and it's a nice brisk brooming, something like that, brooming. Let's say 72 degrees out. It's really nice out. Has been all day. He's finally awake. He's gonna go get jumper cables. He forgot he was supposed to take the bus there because his car isn't working. He turns the key, and the car starts perfectly with full power, and everything's fine. He didn't jump it or anything the night before. How the hell did that happen? That was question number 1. Question number 2. I'm remembering these 5 things, right? They're just annoying things. That particular question number 1 has actually been discussed when you start hearing smart people on Quora ever talk about it. Just a lot of people don't know what they all think. They all think the cold saps the energy out of the battery, which it used to be. It used to be when you put it on concrete, it would do something to the whatchamacallit plates and that. But those kinds of battery designs have changed. The other thing remaining is just that, just in general, cold saps the energy out. The idea is cold saps the energy out of batteries, just depending on how cold it is, especially. Even below freezing, further below freezing, really drains the energy out of batteries. This is kind of a known fact in general. So, why am I still babbling about question number 1? I don't know. Oh, just because some people know the answer to it, but it's just the fact that some people don't misunderstand it. That's question number 1, and I'm rambling. Question number 2. Let's see, what was the next thing? Gertrude and what's an annoying name? I don't know. I got that from Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Gertrude and whatever. Gertrude says I'm gonna have a problem with the gas tank. I'm gonna whatever, drill into the gas tank, drain out the gas fluid, and whatever the heck it was for, just because he's gotta get the fluid out or something, and replace the fluid because he's having real problems with his gas and stuff like that. And so the lines are all clogged up. He's gotta maybe have to take the whole tank out and everything to get to the other lines. The fuel pumps in there and all that stuff. So he says, first step first, I'm going to drain out the gas tank. It's very hard to do in these models, whatever. So he takes a drill, he starts drilling into the gas tank. When it's full, I don't know, put that on your IQ pipe and smoke it. The drill bit's going through, I'll just tell you, pretending I'm omniscient, because that's my imaginary story. And it's going through the gas tank, it's drilling, and as it goes through, it's making all these sparks right into the middle of the gasoline. Sparks are even hotter than fire. Sparks are like a couple thousand degrees. Here. Well, actually, electrical sparks are. Nonetheless, spark from a drill bit, I think I've heard is hotter per, whatever it's of a square inch than fire. I believe I've heard that. And for some reason, Umtruck is looking at Gertrude in disbelief. He's dodging from like 30 feet away, saying, "What are you doing?" And Gertrude keeps doing it. He's like oblivious. And so finally, Gertrude stops. He gets quits or whatever like that. And Umtruck goes back there and goes, "Gertrude, you are such an idiot. It's amazing. I don't know how you didn't just blow up." It's like at the side of a gas station somewhere or whatever. Actually, that's my horror story about it. I really shouldn't say that. Like, the story is they end up blowing up and killing themselves and everyone at the gas station. one of the people were going to have a kid. It was going to be a president to stop World War III and end up 5 billion people getting killed. But really, it's not true, and I shouldn't be saying it. I agree. Anyway, to make the story more boring, Umfruk says, Gertrude, you're such a rookie. You're such a moron. You don't even ever drill into a gas tank with it when it's full with gas, especially. I don't know how you're still alive. And he goes, now let's take the gas tank apart the normal way. He says, get rid of that stupid drill bit and put the Phillips head on this driver. He's got one of those. He's got a drill, whatchamacallit. But anyway, he goes, get rid of that drill bit that causes sparks and put this Phillips head on the blimba. And he takes out the thing where the gas cap is, and there's little 4 screws there. And he starts regular. It's like, you stay back. You're such an idiot. I don't know how you're still alive. So he takes the drill and he starts taking the 4 Phillips screws off the gas tank thingamajig, and all of a sudden they blow up, and I don't know, either them or who knows, maybe none of them, or 5 billion people are not, it all happens while the smart guy, quote unquote, is using the thing to take off the Phillips screws in the gas tank. How does that happen? That's question number 2. I really don't sound like a professor, do I? I'm rambling on. Like, there's my opinion. Well, it's hard enough to remember these 5 things. So far, I remember 2 of them. Question number 3. A person's looking for a used tire. He looks on Craigslist or whatever, and this one says, these 4 tires are in great shape. They all have 1/2 tread. They have no scratches, dings, or this, that. You can have all 4 for $100. And he's half tread. And you see pictures of it. It's got a tread, and like the guy calls him up. He's like, "Yeah, these tires are just like they said they had, man. Half tread." And he has a picture of it, and he's holding a quarter up to it. Whatever. He's got all these sales gimmicks to make it look good. He goes, "I'll tell you what. I'll give it to you for $100." I go, "I'll be right there." And he comes over and buys them. He goes to the tire shop, and the tires to put them on, and the tire shop goes, "These tires are worthless. You just got screwed." Why? Why? That's question number 3. Question number 4. I didn't organize them or put them in order or anything. I was remembering. Let's see. Frozen battery, people getting blowing up for apparently no reason, perhaps in some perceptions. Good, nice tires that are absolutely worthless. There are 2 more things. What the hell were they? Very tough to remember. That sucks. That really sucks. After making this whole video, I can't remember all of them. I remember one of them so far, but the other one. What was the other one? A person, it's coming to me. It's coming to me in my brilliance. Has to inflate their tire, and he realizes that many people have the wrong idea of how to do it. Sometimes they're afraid of overinflating it, underinflating it. It expands in the hot weather. It shrinks in the cold weather. He or she finds out that after listening to people on YouTube and all that, or Google, that although the thing on the tire, maximum PSI, is just to make sure the tire is enough for even when it's expanding the expanded state. But he realizes that the recommended PSI is on the door of the tire, or you could look on the manual if you have the right manual, and you have, well, let's just say if you have the right manual for your car, and you find out what it is. Well, the tire might be good to 45 PSI, the manual might say 30, or something like that. And it says on the tire, and he's heard it said to inflate cold, and they go, what's that mean? They go, that means after the car's been sitting all night at cold, inflate to, in this case, 30 pounds. So he goes and inflates his tire, and it's really cold. He waits till the winter, or it happens to be winter. He's lucky. And it's again 0 degrees or whatever. Charming time to inflate your tires, but he said, I better do it now before they shrink or this or that with the weather. So he gets out his thingamajig or his good tire gauge, and he inflates them all after it's been sitting all night and it's definitely cold. He inflates them all with a good meter and everything to exactly 30 pounds. They're not leaking. He said, man, I actually did that right. I did my research on YouTube and all that stuff, and I got it all right, 30 pounds. Oh, just exactly the way, never mind the poundage. And he's driving along, and eventually he gets a flat tire, or he just ends up at the tire shop having the tire guy look at it for whatever reason. And the tire guy goes, who inflated these tires? He's like a shop that's been there for 25 years. Grouchy guy, but he knows his tire stuff. He goes, who inflated these tires? Has this sinister, what's the word? Critical look on his face of disbelief. And the guy's like, I did my research, I know exactly what it is. And he rambles off all those things I just rambled off. And he goes, the tire guy goes, you idiot! You could have gotten killed. Because now it's not 0 degrees out anymore, it's got warmer. But he goes, because he told him what he did, and it's gotten warmer and everything, and the guy was just on the fast-moving roads and stuff, and it's hot out, and that makes the tires expand. That number recommended on the tire is the medium between expanding and shrinking. He's read this on Google too. So he goes, that's the right tire pressure to do it. I called this, that, and the other. So if it expands on a summer day, whatever, that was calculated into the recommended inflation on the tire. No. Did I say that even once before? I didn't mean to. On the door frame or on the manual. And he tells the guy he did that and how smart he thinks he is. And the guy goes, you total idiot. Your tires are overinflated like 10 pounds, 12 pounds overinflated. And he goes, the guy's like, why? And the tire guy's so grouchy, he just walks away. And he's got his hands on that, 2 fists like on his side, like marching away, like just ignoring him, marching away like a grouchy shoulder. Why? That was question number 4. Now it's question number 5. Luckily, I just parked this car. Because question number 5 is, I suppose, requiring a light. If this thing doesn't have a flash on it, that's annoying. Damn me. 1 second. I got one of them BAM lights thingy-majigs. So there's this guy. I don't know who he is, but he kept running into a problem with his battery going dead. Even though the battery's new, the wires are good and everything. He had one friend that was like pulling on the wires. Friend thinks he's smart, pulling on the wires to see if they'll come out. I don't know if that made the wires worse. But the point is, the same thing kept happening. You know what that hissing sound is? It's bee snakes. They actually make the hissing sound. These oil tech cans from the PCB all over there. Sounds like a leak, like an air leak. And I even have a code P420, that's the code with infinite. It branches out into more and more possibilities until there's infinite different possibilities for what it means. And once it means infinity different things, it doesn't mean anything in particular, and therefore it means nothing. Code P0420. The code that means you have a check engine light. That's just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong, but I've looked into it and each thing branches out into 10 more maybe. It often is an air leak, which isn't this. And this has nothing to do with why I'm here. I know this guy, I'm going to make a smoke, what's in the call, smoke detector. That click is the, I don't know what it's called, the idle control capper thing in the big. It's probably the hose going through it. You can unplug it, close it away, but it's not about it. I'm rambling. Question number 5. This is a quick disconnect battery switch. Many times this battery lately has gone dead, and the whole car is dead. It looks like it won't start. You think the battery's bad. One might think the battery's bad. The alternator's bad. The battery's new. The switch is new. The wires are undone right. The alternator's new. The alternator's good. The battery's new. This, that, and the other. Starter's new and good. Everything's good. And every time I fiddle with this thing, I can get it to start again. I thought maybe it's the wires going through it. They were loose. Well, this is connected to the post was loose. This thing was loose. But after a few tries, I got it better. Much better. Then, this phone is blocking the light. My light is looking at the phone. It's like a shadow. Eventually, 100 times later, I realized the problem. Even though the switch was good and new and connected tight, everything it still keeps going bad. The switch is new, everything is new, it's tight and pretty snug. All these bolts are snug, the fingers are bolts. Everything was good, and eventually the problem popped up. What is it? It is not near, it is not far. If you cannot see it, you're mountains and hills away from it. What's question number 5? What do you think about this? I think I'll make the other thing on the move. Or if I just pause, and you guys hit pause and see if you can answer the question. But if I answered it right away, you have to like recover from my babbling, which sucks already. You don't like my babbling? I don't like babbling either. I'm not one of those people who's like on an ego trip that they ramble on forever, which there are many of. I'm not that. I'm dumb, but I think I'm not quite that dumb. I could be. I could be even dumber. I could be the same dumb idiot and think I'm astoundingly humble. I might be even dumber than that kind of idiot. Scary thought. But I was really just trying to get this video out of the way. Now I'm gonna drive aimlessly for about 5 minutes back to a quick trip. And then you guys could hit pause anyway. You don't need 5 minutes to hit pause. I'll wait for about 5 seconds or 10 seconds till you hit pause, and then I'll start rambling about the answers, and you can, unpause it when you're ready. See which ones you can answer. They're astoundingly stupid. The answers are just not in the book. I'm gonna shut up for 10 seconds. Welcome back, pupils, to my college room of mechanics. Question number 1, what was it? Tell me what they were. If I get these in back about order, who cares? You'll figure out which question is which question. I don't remember which question I started with. Was it the gas tank? It wasn't that. It was the battery, the frozen battery. Was that it? Yeah. The reason the frozen battery suddenly worked the next day without jump starting or anything is because frozen batteries do not lose any charge, contrary to popular perception and appearance. They get literally frozen. I forget what it is, these chemical whatchamacallits get frozen. You could easily Google that, but the point is it gets frozen and loses its ability to let its electricity out and start to loop and do the stuff. Once they unfreeze, they're back to their normal charge. They never had a drainage of electricity. That's what happens when you get batteries cold. That's why it didn't work and why it suddenly worked again. If you didn't get that right, you were wrong. Question 2, I think, was about drilling into a gas tank and not exploding, and then just using an innocent Phillips screw, and you could blow up or whatever. Start explosion, it could happen. The reason why is gas is flashpoint. By the way, a lot of people don't know what flashpoint means, but I think I'm smart, so I either that or just Googled it. Flashpoint doesn't mean when gas lights. It means at what temperature of the air is the vapor from gas flammable, and that is room temperature. That means you're at flashpoint when you're next to a gas pump and your car's idling, lighting a cigarette, or if there's a short in your car, or you're doing a jump start, you're in danger already. Of course, once you're far away from things and there's more air than gas vapors, you might not get killed, obviously, but don't press your luck with that. So why am I babbling about flashpoint and stuff like that? When you drill into a gas tank, if the flash happens and there's no air, if the drill is just getting through and there's no air, but the spark happens, the gas fluid is not flammable. It's the vapor that's flammable. Don't try it. Don't push your luck, because as soon as one drop of air, one molecule of air gets there, then it's game over. Then it makes a thing, and then all the air rushes in and it blows up. So don't try it. I would tell you the truth when I said I wasn't a mechanic. But on the theory of that, the gas, supposedly, liquid gas doesn't light on fire, it's the vapor. And the vapor in your fuel-injected cars, it's the vapor here, there, and so on. So Gertrude, I believe was the name, that thought he was smart, said, "You're a total idiot, I'm amazed you're still alive. Give me the drill, put a Phillips in it," and he started drilling the screws out. When a Phillips head on one of those things, the Phillips head doesn't make a spark the way a drill bit does. However, if you take your drill gun or whatever it be, and if it's the kind that's also a drill, like has some power to it, too much power probably for Phillips screws and all, usually often, but if you take it and you pull the trigger and you look inside the little rectangles, there's always a spark when it starts, or when you let your finger off the trigger. So you have the thing right next to the open gas tank where the vapor is, which is what is flammable. You're hitting the trigger, or Gertrude's hitting the trigger, and it's causing a spark every time. Hence, World War III and all that. Not really. I just have to be obnoxious and say that. It's so stupid. I put that in one other video, and then one of my cars ended up catching on fire, strangely. I don't know. At some point, it might have been my fault. That was a day where I was surrounded by a million idiots and I couldn't overcome their dumbness, but still, could have been partially me clowning around like that. I should make a joke of that, especially not these days. Just not in general, period. But, I don't know. There's something to be said about being obnoxious, but not that obnoxious. That's how it happens, man. That's how you could drill into a gas tank, not blow up, and then use a little screw gun next to a gas tank and blow up. What was 3? Something about, something? Tire inflation? 50% tread, while the guy was bragging about it and saying, no, it's 50% tread. All you got to do is give me $100. Cash money. It's great. A tread goes from, I don't know, 0 30 seconds to 11 30 seconds. And at 5 30 seconds, 50% tread, and it still looks good, and there's still like appearance of tread, better than some tires on the road. That's when they say your tire is worn out, useless. It's time to get another one. It might still work in the dry pavement or in the rain if you're lucky. It's not too slippery. But that's when tire shops say your tire's used up, time to get a new tire. If you're really slick, you can get away with 4, 30 seconds, or 3, depending on various things. How slick of a driver, not slick is a bad word. How savvy of a driver you are and all that stuff. Some people do it. But if you want to be on the safe side, just with that, you're supposed to, that's when they say time to get new tires. So half tread, when they say, when you read an ad in Craigslist, the mechanics probably know this for sure. So this is just for the average whoever. When it says half tread, as it often does on like Craigslist or eBay, that means useless. You can call the guy, goes, oh, why are you selling tires that are you worn out? That's time to get. That's when people get rid of them. That's why he has them, because it's half tread. That's the half tread scam. What was number 4? I've gotten 3 down. 4, half tread, this, that, and the other. Someone inflating their tires. How do they inflate their tires? They inflated it exactly by the book, or so they thought, at cold, sitting all night, to the recommended tire PSI on the actual tire, and all of a sudden, it got warm, they're driving around, they're at a tire shop, and the guy goes, you're a total idiot, why is that? And he could have overinflated his tire that could have blown up and everything. He did overinflate his tires. I made up that 10 degrees, but it's 10 pounds PSI, but it's something like that. It turns out that what the dealers mean when they say inflate at cold, not only is it had been sitting all night, it's roughly 68 degrees outside. That's what they're calling cold. And for every degree colder it is, that makes the air pressure shrink. So if I could just throw out that word, by, I don't know, for every 10 pounds, it's like it's something like 2 PSI for every 10 degrees or something like that. That's probably wrong, but I've read things that's something like that. And everyone knows that, and the smarty pants people yip-yap about it on YouTube and stuff. But very few people know the most basic thing, because no one ever mentions that what they mean by cold is 68 degrees. And perhaps there's a way to adjust for that 2 degrees for every 10 degrees, whatever, 2 PSI, 10 PSI for every 2 degrees, whatever it is. Whatever I was just babbling about, and I was wrong anyway. Something like that. You can either look that up. Maybe you can adjust for that if it's 0 degrees, or if it's 20 degrees, or 30 degrees. And if you can't, it means you can never inflate your tires in the winter. That's one of those 2 basic things, what they mean by cold and how you can compensate for it, even though temperature varies a lot with different kinds of driving, freeway, this, that, and if your tires are near your muffler, if they've been going down the freeway, there's other factors than just the temperature outside. So it's really tricky, especially that people often don't say the really important things. But that's the answer to that riddle. The mysterious overinflation is cold. The unsaid again thing on the internet, you'd think people would say it, cold means 68 degrees. What was 5? The electrical connector. Took me a lot of trial and error to figure that out. I'd get out there, but I would just say, I don't feel like going out there. That knob, it turns out on those quick disconnect switches, that knob is the only thing that makes the connection. When you tighten the thing, it's going through plastic, and it's tightening into, the knob, what do I say about that knob? It's like a bolt in the center of that knob, and the bolt goes through plastic on it's two halves of that quick disconnect switch. It goes through the plastic where it's not touching anything, and it grabs the thing. It's still not making a contact with the other end of the bolt. It grabs threads on the other end. There's no threads on the plastic thing on the whole lower rectangle of that quick disconnect switch. No. There is threads on the lower half of it. There's no threads on the upper half. It's all plastic. That way, when you disconnect the knob and it lifts off the top thing, it's not connecting to the top thing. It's still connected to the bottom, but not the top, because the thing it goes through has no groove, has no threads in it. The threads are on the bottom rectangle. On the hole on the top rectangle is this plastic, which is a kind of plastic that's an electrical insulator, so it doesn't make a spark or whatever. And then you turn the knob, and then the knob goes up above, the little flat circle thing goes up above the top thing. What is on the bottom of the knob is a flat piece of metal or brass that when you turn the knob tight, the brass touches the top of the top rectangle, and that's when the bolt, which is connected to the bottom rectangle, going through the hole in the top rectangle, not touching it, touches the top of the top rectangle with the bottom flat circle ring on the bottom of that knob. So, listen to that retard. This is our alarm. I can't even criticize him. Oh, good, it stopped. So here's the thing. That knob has no flexibility. If the wires on the, the top rectangle or whatever, are pulling sideways on the top rectangle, you tighten it, and it moves, even though it's tightened, hand tightened, it moves slowly because the wires are just having a tendency to pull to the left or right, and the car's vibrating and everything, and then eventually the bolt comes loose. If the bolt comes loose just enough, or if you tighten it without lining it up perfectly, if you tighten it and it's at an angle, you don't get the bottom rectangle into the perfect rectangle on the bottom of the top rectangle perfectly. It's got little plastic walls and stuff, and you tighten it and it's at a diagonal, a slight diagonal. For one thing, yeah, you'd say that tightening it would undo the in parallels of the rectangle. But if the one side of the rectangle touches and the bottom one side of the knob touches a little bit before, and all of a sudden the friction stops it from doing that, then you're tightening it on a slight angle. Then there's a like a 1/100th of an inch space on part of that circle, or if the wires are pulling at the thing sideways because they have a tendency to, they wish they were sideways just by their shape, and the thing's vibrating, and you didn't tighten it perfectly straight, it pulls the thing off, so it's 1 degree tilt off. Unfortunately, 1 degree tilt on a flat circle connecting to another flat circle on top of the rectangle means, I don't know what you want to say, 359 degrees of the thing are off, are not connected, because that circle doesn't flex. When you put other battery things on, they flex, and because you tighten it and they flex to adjust, that circle is kind of snooty and computer. It's strong, whatever, but it just doesn't bend. So if you have that tilt, either tilt I just mentioned, and it's off 1 micrometer, whether that's a word or not, just that lift makes it so that only 1% of that circle is connected. And what that means is that the two or so 2 gauge wires and maybe some other wires connecting the negative terminal are all going through a 1 tiny little speck of that circle. Even though it looks like the whole circle is connected, it's not. It's the 1 tiny hundredth of it. And that's not enough, and it makes the charging weak, so the battery's already weak, and then the battery has not been being charged right. It can make it run funny, and then it can make the battery just like that, so that when it's finally sitting off, whether your radio's on or anything for 5 minutes, you can't start it and it's dead, and you try to start it again. And even if you have enough to start it, your starting power is also super weak because you're still running it through a tiny little speck of that circle. And as you know, batteries go in a loop. The electrons go from, what is it? The current goes from plus to minus, and the electrons go from minus to plus, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. Electrons move at the speed a person walks. The current moves at 1/3 the speed of light, I believe. But they go past each other peacefully and cooperatively. It's going in both directions at once. I think the current goes one way, that it causes this charge, and the electrons counterbalance the charge soon enough. But everything that's happening, even though it's going both directions at once, is a loop through plus and minus or vice versa. And once one of the wires is not working, it's not working. That's why when you disconnect your negative terminal, there's no electric at all. It's a loop, and if that connection of that 1 degree of that circle, I say degree, you know what I mean, 360 degrees, 359 and 1 degree, it's something like that. Once that circle lifts, the slightest snorkel, all of it lifts except for one dot. And then the dot that's making your whole like electrical connection on the minus and the entire loop is way smaller than those 2 gauge wires that are going to the plus and the minus. And it's not charging fast enough. It can make all kinds of wicky wonky things happen. When it's sitting, it hasn't been charged, so it's already dead when you turn it off. And then you leave the lights on, it gets slower. And then you try to charge it, even if it's down just a little bit. And your starting energy, looping from plus to minus and vice versa, is also really weak because it's going through that tiny little speck of a wire. All the wires are going through that one little dot of a thing that looks connected, but isn't, because it's lifted 1 degree of tilt. I'm using degrees in 2 different ways. The up and down tilt and the part of the circle that's touching, which I guess are connected. The point is the circle doesn't bend to adapt for it. And in the end, you can turn the knob, but it still won't do it. But if you lift the thing up, straighten the thing out to be flush again, and so it's totally, and the knob goes easily, then you tighten the knob, then the thing works, and then your switch works, your connection works, and instead of getting a new battery and a new alternator, this, that, and that, spending $1,000, $1,500, it would took about, as I've said in other videos, 1/1000th of a cent. The switch is pretty clean. Your wires probably are too, so you might need one tiny smidgen more of hand cleaner if you're cleaning your hands, amounting to 1/1000th of a cent, or go, I don't know, 1/1,000,000th the price of an alternator if you got at like a dealer or whatever, and or a battery, and having all your wires re-looked at and everything. That'd be like $1,000, but this is 1/1000th of a cent. Well, that's less than a millionth. That's like 100 millionths or something. Whatever. Let's just say it's 500 at a dealer, and blah blah blah. Last question answered. Okay, that's it for the video. Pretty cool. This video addendum will have to be made. It doesn't have to be made. I'm just BSing. But I'll make it. It reminds me of the very end of that movie, Don't Look Up, when you think it's over, then the rich politicians show up on the planet, like you're watching the credits, then they show up on the planet with the spaceship they stole when they screwed everyone over, and they've been on like in hibernation for many years, going over, I don't know where it was, the other side of maybe Andromeda or something, somewhere many light years away. They wake up and they think they're there, and then the batRE eats them. One girl goes, look at how cool you are, and he eats the girl anyway. Marilyn Streep, the president, actually gets eaten by a batRE, naked, but basically just a human snack from their point of view. And then the other guy who thinks he's smart, like the people eater, the batRE walks up to them and goes, don't talk to them, whatever you do. And so they all just stand there and stare at him, and the batRE goes, whatever, and they eat the people too. On that note, the ending of this video is, I think it was part 5. Can't remember, it was like a month ago I made that video. I said that the electrical switch, as one of the answers, I guess by now you've already answered or failed to answer that question. I said it's right in front of you. If you look at, you seek it, you cannot find it. Actually the riddle went, it's not near, it's not far. If you seek it, you are mountains and rivers away from it, which is also true. But there's also an expression that if you seek it, you cannot find it. And there's another expression in Christianity that says, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find. It depends how you seek and how you ask. Just like the word knowing has 2 exactly opposite definitions as well. It depends how you know, how you seek. If you seek with effort, it's one thing. If you look effortlessly, that kind of seek, which is a sloppy word, then, what did I say? With effort or without? I forget which seek I was talking about. One of them's real, one of them works, one of them anti-works. Worse than not working at all. Why am I babbling about this? The point is, if you seek it, you cannot find it. I said that the answer to the question was, beneath my hand was that light switch. No, was the negative connector, the fancy looking one, which turned out had not 1 but 3 problems. And thus the bad ending, just like when they got eaten by the batRE. I said I knew the answer to the question. I found it. Maybe 10, 12 times it happened. It always looked like the battery, but it was always the switch. When the battery's frozen, it looks dead. It's not. When it's the switch, it looks dead. when it's not working a million times and I can't jump start it, I'm thinking finally maybe it's the battery and the switch. And like a sucker, I bought a new battery. Luckily, my battery was 2 years old. It's fine. I had it tested. It's fine. The place doesn't test the whether it's frozen or not. They don't test the cell if the cell went bad, because if it sits at, I figured out by Googling stuff, if it drains itself when it has a bad cell, and if it sits at more than 10.5 volts, which it was sitting at normal 12, 13 volts, it doesn't have a bad cell. They did the voltage drop, whatchamacallit, test on it. It was fine. They told me that. And then I didn't know how to test the cell, and I started Googling around. If it sits over, I knew it drained if it had a bad cell, and I checked and that was true. So I said I might as well leave it sitting, and I got a voltage tester. It's sitting there for like a week or two and see if it drains. And then I read the thing beneath that, and it said if it sits at above 10.5 volts, it does not have a bad cell. If it has a bad cell, it cannot sit above 10.5 volts, I believe it was phrased as, perhaps. But either way, I know it's sitting at 12 or 13. It's sitting a little bit high. It was probably charged a little bit too much or something. But it doesn't have a bad cell. The other thing, it passed with the battery right there is fine. And like a sucker, a bad ending, I bought a new battery, which is under the trunk. I need not say it, although I could point to it just to describe the 3 batteries that I think. And I think, what does that mean? You didn't talk to me. Holy crap. Let me wrap this up. Somewhere hidden in here, because I can't even walk here anyway. So many beautiful plants right here. That's life telling me I'm talking too much. Ow. I don't even know what. Here's the one. This is the one that I said if you seek it, you cannot find it. Blah 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 blah. Mountains and rivers away from it. Blah 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 blah. My hand was like this. It was this thing, which I described but didn't show in the video, but since it's here anyway, this circle, damn you, damn me, this circle, this tiny little circle on top of this thing, this circle that my fingernail's touching, connects to that circle. It's a little bit raised from this rubber insulator, which I don't know what the point of that is, because they're supposed to touch over here anyway. And if it's at a slight angle, it only touches for a microbe, and it doesn't have enough voltage to charge properly or to start the car. Especially with a 600 cold cranking amp Econo, whatchamacallit, AutoZone battery, which turned out to be great because it lasted for 2 years with a 6 months warranty, and it's fine. I just sold it because I'm an idiot. But it turns out, 2 other things. The only thing about this thing, this connector, even though it's the coolest looking one that I happened to just stumble across, I guess it has flimsy metal. In here, I sanded it off. I had some purple piece of sandpaper that I just found, not even looking for one. Had a three-dimensional aspect to it. It was puffing this thing out from the terminal. Even though you could tighten it, it's completely tight. You couldn't move it. It was totally tight. You couldn't see the thing because it wasn't that three-dimensional. And this thing bent around it a little bit on top and bottom on both sides. So it looked like it was totally flush. It looked from looking at it that it was totally flush. You couldn't move it. It's new. The battery's clean, there's no corrosion. Everything looked like a good connection. And finally, the battery's dead. This thing's definitely tight. I know how to tighten this thing in a way that it is flush. And not only could I not do anything with the battery because it would have been sitting for a while for other reasons. I wasn't driving the car for a bit, doing other stuff. We couldn't even jump start it. And we tried putting the jump starter here, where this thing connects to, well, where's the other thing is here? Yeah, it is. Where this thing connects to this thing, which connects to this thing, which connects to the battery. This was flush. This connects to this thing, but I already knew this lower thing was good, and the connection was good, which means it connected to this well, to the battery and everything. But we said, what the heck? Just in case it's not, we put the big cables here. Looks like a big solid connection, and we could not jump start the battery and car. And like, we're thinking about why could you not jump start a car connecting right to here, even if the battery's totally dead? This thing is connected to the negative. The plus is connected to the plus. It should be enough to start the car even if the battery is totally dead. But we couldn't start the car. It was totally dead, and period. So I said it must be the battery somehow. Battery doesn't have enough cranking amp. The jumper cables didn't have enough cranking amps or whatever. It was a strange jumper connection, or apparently. So I'm like, all right, screw it. I went and bought a battery. I had $25 credit from Walmart, so it was $150, but it was $125 for me. Got the new battery. I'm like, that sucks. It's the switch in the battery. And after I'm putting in the new battery, I take off this switch and I look and I go, holy crap, I send it off. You don't see it now. There's a ring around this thing. And this is new, but the corrosion started with a clean battery terminal, everything on this, just in, I don't know, several months or something tops. This ring, maybe you can see this, you can see little, it's got kind of flattened and smeared across, but because I sand it with this rough purple sandpaper, but it was here in like a ring. That thing stopped the connection so that the jumper cable stopped the thing from having any current to the negative. It stopped the loop, stopped the power. That's why it wouldn't start. It wouldn't charge the battery. That's why this thing didn't charge the battery. It's no good. That's two. One is this thing turned a little bit. Two is this thing developed corrosion really quick. And then when I was tightening this thing, this square thing turned on this thing. I gotta go get that. I'm about to return this thing. I'm gonna keep the other one. I have another one identical to the one I put on. That way I have a spare one. But I'm gonna go return this hobgoblin. I already got, okay. This square, which is supposed to stay still so that you can tighten this nut, was turning on this. All these things mean it's not the best metal. It develops corrosion really quick. This square literally wore out this thing. Well, I can't turn it by hand, but it does. It literally turns on, the square turns on this. It's developed its own curved groove. This metal, soft metal, wore out for this square to turn, and this thing somehow wore out, so this thing has a little teeny bit of arc to it. All three things with a switch. In the end, this minion, this Smurf switch, fooled me into buying a new battery. When this battery, which I'm now selling for 25 bucks, I can be bargaining down to 20, who knows, was fine the whole time, man. Luckily, it was 2 years on it, so it probably won't last forever. So the losses, it's not really 125 bucks or whatever that cost, 150 with tax, whatever. It's like 25 bucks because, actually, is it anything? I was about to say the loss was 25 bucks because it was like a battery that was warranted for 6 months, or a cheap one from AutoZone that lasted for 2 years and it was still fine. Probably just 1/5 of the life left. It was 90 bucks, so that was, well, man. If I make 20 selling the battery and it only cost me 15, I guess I made 5 bucks. The absurdity. And what has taken me 10 minutes to say should have taken me 10 seconds. I'll flop this onto that video. Good grief.